Oh, that wind ain't half biting. Well, February's known for being a tricky month to catch carp. Certainly on my syndicate waters at the moment, there's very little getting caught. So this month, what I thought I'd do is take a trip to a busy day ticket lake and see if we can catch some carp from there. I'm at ADH Fisheries over in Lincolnshire, and today I'm going to have a try on the Specimen Lake. So let's go and take a look round and see what's on offer. ADH Fisheries is located close to Mablethorpe on the east coast of Lincolnshire. There are 7 well-stocked lakes on the site, with a complex surrounded by open farm fields and a rural environment. Today I'm going to be fishing the 3-acre Specimen Lake, which contains a decent head of carp, including the biggest on the complex. So here's a quick walk around the lake in less than a minute. From the main gate heading right along the path, you come to Peg 4, which has a nice bay to the left, and then next along is Peg 3, with the main feature being the side of an island out in front. Continuing round to the right, you come to Peg 2, which has a deep hole just to the right side of a big island, and then you've Peg 1, which controls quite a lot of water and is very popular because it's right next to the car park. Heading right along the path, you then have Peg 9, which has 3 islands to the left, 1 to the right and 1 out in front, and then you come to the cabin swim, which is a double swim, controls a lot of the shallows where it's quite weedy during the summer months. And then finally, you come to the west bank, which is where I fished in Peg 7, with islands to the left and right, as well as a deep hole to the right. And then you have Peg 6 and 5, which are quite close to one another and great for having a social. And if you continue along the path from here, you've then completed your circuit. So here's a look at the swim that I've decided to fish then. This is Peg 7 right at the far end. It's got quite a lot of features in front of it. Obviously the main two are the 2 islands. I've got a long cigar shaped island to the right, which I'm sharing with Peg 6, which is just to my right hand side. I've got about halfway along that island, and then we've got another island to the left, which has got a decent set of reeds that run off the side of it, and it's quite shallow along that reed line, only a couple of 3 feet deep, but it's nice and clear. I've also got a lovely margin down to my left where I've got quite a thick set of reeds running into the bay, where there's a big area of water that is controlled by the cabin swim, which is round to the left. But out in front of me as well, I've got a lot of different features as well. There's a bit of weed dotted about. I've had the marker float out there, casted it around, and I've got a few clear areas down to about 6 foot to the left hand side. I've got quite a lot of clear area just in front of me, basically between the 2 islands, and then to the right hand side, what I've got about halfway across towards the island area is a really big deep hole. And actually in that hole there's a couple of nice features in there as well. I found a couple of nice gravel areas, and believe it or not, on the right hand side, when I actually cast the marker float out there, I've actually got a kick off a fish from there as well, so I'm really confident with my right hand rod. So now what I'm going to do is talk you through where I'm fishing my rods. I've got my right hand rod about 7 foot in depth, just off the side of that deep area, and that's the area where I felt that kick from the fish. And then the middle rod, that's just off the tip of the cigar island in front of me, drops down to about 6 foot nice and quickly. And then the left hand rod, that one is just touching the reeds, just off the corner of that island out there. It's only about 3 or 4 foot deep there, but it's nice and clear, and it's nice and gravelly as well there. So all 3 rods I've got on pretty decent spots. I'm quite confident with them. I will try and rove them around if nothing happens. I've got the margin down to the left down there, which looks really nice for a bite as well, especially in the sunny conditions like today. And out in open water there's quite a lot of clear areas with a few bits of weed as well dotted about. So I've got lots of features out in front of me, and all I'm using is a bit of crumbed boilie alongside a load of maggots, and I'm just fishing a PB wafter over the top of it. Now the PB wafter I've just tipped with a couple of 3 maggots on the hook, and then roughly I'm fishing probably about a handful of maggots and a handful of crumb over each rod. So nice and simple, winter tactics, and I think it'll be pretty ideal on a lake like this. Good morning from a very cold and frosty Lincolnshire. There you go, -2 at the moment. Frosty and hooking mat, frosty bivvy, frosty banks, but the lake is doing bites, which is, it's pretty good in February at this time of the year. Most lakes around the country at the moment aren't doing bites, but this one's done, I think it's somewhere in the region of about half a dozen fish now in the last 5 or 6 days, which ain't too bad, including a 37 pounder. So for this area of the country, You know, that really ain't too bad. And he's quite busy at the moment, though, and that's probably down to the fact that the lake's fishing well. I think there's 8 swims on here, and there are currently 7 guys fishing. There is myself here, and then there's 2 guys to my right, so there's 3 on this bank, and then there's 4 on the opposite bank as well. So busy. But one of the things I'll say about this place is it is very, very quiet. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning at the moment. You can't hear any cars because it's just surrounded by open fields. There's no planes flying over that's keeping you awake, and the lads that are on the lake as well are really respectful as well, so that's a nice thing. We can't hear any dom jollies across the lake on the mobile phones at this time of the morning. A few car doors slamming every now and again, but that's not too bad. I can deal with that. But it is a really beautiful morning. The other good thing about this side of the lake is you can't see it at the moment. I'm going to have to put some overlay on there, but there's some lovely sunsets, or sunrises I should say, just on the far horizon. I'll put some overlay there so you can see it's absolutely glorious, it really is. I've just had a couple of liners, so you never know, might have a bite before I pull off here at about midday, because I think what I'm going to do today, it'd be rude not to. What Nick's got over the road is a nice syndicate lake that's got nobody on it at the moment. I think it's about 10-11 acres in size, and it's got some really good fish in it. That's probably not fishing too well compared to this venue, but it'd be rude not to have a go on there because my own syndicate lake's not fishing very well at the moment, so I thought we'd go and have a little look on there, see what other lakes it's got on site that's worth fishing, because there's a few more day ticket lakes on here, and obviously there's that syndicate lake as well. So we're going to have a little look round about midday. I'll show you some of the other waters and we'll see what's on offer on this fantastic complex. But for now, enjoy the sunrise. Right, so here I am then, I'm with Nick, and Nick is the owner of the lake. So first of all, Nick, ADH Fisheries, where does that come from? Bit of a strange name.
Yeah, my dad, his name's Alistair Donald Harvey, so he just went, I was called it ADH after his initials.
Yeah, so it's nothing to do with...
simple.
Yeah, okay, so it's nothing to do with ADH as we know it then.
No, not ADHD, things like that, but no, it was just a simple name. And
so how many lakes we got on the site then, mate?
so there's 7 lakes on site, 2 general pleasure lakes and then 5 carp lakes, ranging from 13 acres, biggest, down to, we've got one we're now redeveloping of a 2.5 acre lake exclusive for the future.
So we're on the Specimen Lake then, mate. Yep. Tell us about this one. This is obviously the oldest lake, because you see from the amount of trees that's around it, very mature, lovely looking water. How many acres is this one?
This is just over 3 acres, so it has 9 swims. One of those swims is a cabin, bit of a double swim that you can hire out just for, so you don't have to bring your bivvy.
So how many anglers do you allow on here at any one time?
Allow full 9. So enough features and cut-offs so that clearly see your boundaries, so it's quite clear you can easily get the full 9 on
got loads of islands as well to break it all up.
And loads of features.
Yeah, so how many carp you got in this one then?
There's about 170 in, around 15 to 20, 30s, with a couple knocking on the door. Was one that hits 40 time of the year and obviously loses a little bit, obviously.
Is that common, that one?
Yeah, it's a nice sort of colour.
But you've got some decent mirrors in here. There was one out the other day, 37, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was a nice fish, and there's some really nice scaly ones as well. So
so to fish this then, is it the Swim Booker app, or can people turn up as well on the day?
The best thing to do is Swim Booker. At weekends it's a minimum 48 hours with advanced booking. Yeah. But obviously if some people can't do that because of, well, winter, it's not particularly great at the moment, but going into the summer, if you want to do less, you can phone up the day before, see if there's availability. But
can they book it lake exclusive as well? If
yeah, all the lakes can be all lake exclusive. That's all on Swim Booker as well. It's all quite clear.
Yeah, and then the other 2 main carp lakes, then you've got Blackcomb, which is how many acres? That one is a big lake.
That one's a 13 acre, 500 fish in it, and I've put 30/30s in that, 39, and that's had a year of growing on, getting 200 kilos a week of pellet and boilie. So we had a bit of a test fish, and from what I've seen, most fish have done sort of good £3 to £5 in growth. So I'm hoping some of those high 30s, sort of knocking on the door of 40 as well.
And then you've got Whistler, which is more of a runs water, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's just over 6 acres with 500 carp in it. As an average, you're looking at sort of 17, 18 pound as a starting runs water. It's not like you're catching 4 or 5 pounders.
Decent sized carp.
There's some decent sized carp in there, up to sort of 35 pound. And again, there might be a few more 30s going in there this spring.
You talk about these new fish. Now, I know you've shown me around your breeding facilities. You've got some fantastic on-site breeding facilities, haven't you? You've got some lovely carp in the tanks over there that are already over 30 pounds. You've got lots of small fish available as well. It's another side of your business, isn't it, selling fish?
Yeah, thanks for that. That side's the NS Carp Farm. It's nice to keep everything yourself, but it's got to pay for the feed. So we do sell a few fish, but also we do have the benefit of stocking some really nice fish into our fisheries.
Yeah. And just lastly then, mate, facilities-wise, what you got on site? Any showers, toilet block?
So there's some really nice shower block. It got redone only about 3-4 years ago with near enough standard of a restaurant toilets. Wow. They're sort of nice toilets. There's showers in there for ladies and gents. There's a caravan site, caravan site, it's a 5-pitch CL site. I know some anglers like to bring the caravan, put the missus in the caravan and start go fishing.
yeah.
But also, hopefully, the next week we'll put a small tackle shop on site as well.
Fantastic, mate. You've got everything going for you. It's looking really good. Thanks for the insight into the lake.
Thank you.
The complex, I should say.
Yeah, that's right. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Right, brew time. What you like about brews on the bank? Everybody's got their own ways of doing it, haven't they? Do you like it with milk, sugar, something else on its own? What even is a brew? I was only the other day out with somebody from Avid, Steve from Avid, and we were talking about single hook bait fishing. And to me, a single hook bait is casting out a single hook bait, but to him, it's using a solid bag or using a stringer alongside the hook bait. So I've no doubt that a brew is probably something different to a lot of you guys out there, but for me a brew is anything really, like a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, hot chocolate. Just get yourself a warm drink on the go, and that's what I definitely need at the moment because it is very, very cold today. So just bear with me a second because I'm going to light this up and make myself a cup of coffee. Now for me, a cup of coffee, so, I mean, I do drink a lot of tea. I do drink a lot of Yorkshire tea. It's got to be Yorkshire tea. I do like Tetley as well every now and again, but it's mostly Yorkshire tea. But tea or coffee, wow, for me, there's a different time of the day to drink tea or coffee. I like coffee in the morning, and I prefer tea during the rest of the day. So with it being quite early at the moment, I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee now, and all I'm having is some of this really cheap Tesco Gold. I've got the old Brew brewing away, and something I always do, I have to drink, whether it's a tea or a coffee or a hot chocolate, I have to drink it out of a really warm cup. I can't drink it out of a cold cup because all that's going to do is it's going to lower the temperature of my cup of coffee or my cup of tea. And the older I get, I definitely need piping hot drinks, especially on days like today. So I'm just going to warm my cup up, stick it over the end spout of the kettle, let all that steam circulate inside the cup, make it warm up a little bit. Something else I also do is I always warm up the spoon. Anyway, that's ready. Just going to put some coffee in it, turn the stove off, and something I'm going to do today is, normally I don't have anything with it. I just like either a cup of tea or a coffee with some milk in it, but sometimes I do get a little bit low in my sugar levels, and at the moment I'm really craving some sugar, so I'm going to have a spoonful of golden syrup with it as well. I don't carry sugar, normal sugar with me. I have this for my porridge. I love golden syrup in my porridge. That's something I always have in the morning, and when I get like I am today, I'm just going to get a little spoonful of it on this. Here we go, all topped up nicely, and I'm going to put it in my drink. It takes a little bit of time to dissolve in the warm water, and then a little bit of milk, not too much milk, and away we go. All sorted. There's my drink for today. Definitely going to boost the morale on a day like today. Anyway, how do you like it? Do you prefer it with milk, sugar, whatever? Everybody's got their own ways of doing it. If you've got a different way of doing it, tell me about it underneath or message me, because I'm always open for suggestions. If you've got any ideas of how to spice things up a little bit, let me know. Anyway, I'm going to tuck into this and try and warm myself up a bit. Oh, that's loads better. Oh, lovely. I'm a little bit croaky this morning because of this damp air. It went down to -4 last night, and you can see that the margins round to the right are all frozen. About 3/4 of the bay to the left is all frozen, and probably 2 or 3 rod lengths out in front of the swim's all frozen as well. There's not much that's not frozen, and the area that isn't frozen is mostly down to there being a couple of aerators there, and also the birds have been really active this morning. It's that time of the year when they're starting to get aggressive, they're starting to group up and get ready for mating. But it's just absolutely lovely being here. It's really cold, and at the moment I think there are 6 guys on the lake, so you've got some really super keen guys on the banks at the moment. But you know, there is more to being on the bank than just catching fish. It's about being out here and just experiencing this kind of thing. It's just lovely. You know, carp fishing offers so many amazing things. And you know, to you guys watching this back at home, you're probably sitting there thinking, God, what a crazy lot being out there in these kind of conditions, because we've got a very slim chance of catching anything. But this is when you start thinking about just the stuff that's going on the bank. You know, it's really quiet here at the moment. You can hardly hear anything. The world's just coming to life, the sun's just coming up. It's about making memories. And in these kind of conditions, I've also had memories of catching fish as well from underneath the ice. It does happen mostly from these kind of waters that are quite well stocked, more commercial lakes, but I've also got some great memories of fishing much more difficult lakes in these kind of conditions and catching carp from under the ice. And a real standout memory was from about 30 years ago when I'd not seen Rob Hughes for a few weeks, and we were just having a catch up on Birch Grove and thought we got 0 chance of catching anything. The lake was 3/4 of the way frozen, and Rob was in my swim, and we were just talking the talk like carp anglers do. And in the distance we could hear this little buzzer going off, thinking it was one of the local farms, because there's quite a few farms around Birch Grove, but it turned out to be one of Rob's rods. And got back to his swim, and he ended up catching one of the biggest commons in the lake from underneath the ice. It was absolutely amazing, those kind of conditions when you thought you just got no chance of catching anything. But as I say, there is a lot more to carp fishing than just catching fish, and seeing the sun come up this morning, it's absolutely wonderful. You guys watching this at the moment are probably back at home in the warmth with a brew in hand, with your little slippers on, and probably laughing at us being out here in these kind of conditions, shivering away. But honestly, being out here is absolutely beautiful. It really is. Cool, my hands are so cold at the moment, but you might have noticed that I'm using a rather large net for this session, and this is the new Pro-Tect net from Avid Carp. Now, not only is it a really deep net, I'm using it with the 8-foot handle also, which makes it extra big. Now, I don't know what you guys are like, but I like deep nets because once the fish are in there, there's an increased chance that they're not going to get out. And most modern day carp nets are really shallow, and that's why we tend to see quite a few guys posting about their catches on Facebook having got out the landing net. I've seen it loads of times in recent years. Now, the more net you've got, the less likely that's going to happen. And the net width on this model is still the same as most branded types. It's 42 inches. It's made with high modulus carbon arms, and it's also got reinforced ends. hands. And you can also see just on the net there, it's got that slight Avid logo branded onto it too. Now you can get two different sized handles. Today I'm using the 8-foot version, as I said earlier on, which makes netting slightly easier when you're fishing shallow banks like I am today. I've got no need to put my waders on to get the fish. It's a 2-piece handle, so it's also good for boat work and tight spaces, but if you prefer you can also get a more traditional 6-foot length, both of which are made from a 3K weave with a matte colour to it and a sandblasted handle. All in all, it's a really good net, which is like most items of gear that I use because I'm really heavy-handed, and it's a hard-wearing net with a machine spreader block and a handy ground spike too. Now the RRP on these nets is $99.99 for the 6-foot handle or $109.99 for the 8-foot version. So if you want more details, check it out as always at avidcarp.com. Go. We've got one, middle of the night though, so I'll keep my voice down because there's quite a lot of lads on the lake at the moment, and I don't want to wake anybody up. But it certainly looks like a nice 20-pounder, so let's take a look at it on the bank. Got some big scales on his flanks there. Looks a lovely fish. There's a cracker from the Specimen Lake. It's the middle of the night at the moment, so I'm just keeping my voice down because there's quite a few lads on the lake. But I hope you've enjoyed watching today's vlog. A bit different really, February on a busy day to get lake. But simple tactics again have come up trumps, and this venue is definitely worth fishing at this time of the year. So thanks to Nick for the invite.